Hello and welcome to ACS Golf, and today's video has been released 12 AM UK time on a Friday, which can only mean one thing: it is a brand new club for 2025. Well, a brand new club that will be replaced in the next couple of months, because if you haven't noticed, definitely in winter here in the UK where it gets darker like 3:30ish in the afternoon, which you can tell from me because rather than natural light coming into my room, I've got lights all over the place to try and do the lighting for this video. Probably poor job of it, to be honest, but as I always say, the show must go on. Now, the new club that I'm looking at is this. It is a Cobra DS Adapt X driver. Now, I actually reviewed already a couple of the DS Adapt range this year, and I've been seriously impressed by all of it. Impressed by the LS model and definitely impressed by the Max 10K. I think it's Max K model, their 10K MOI driver, really impressed with that. And I really wanted to try this one before the year's out, because last year I actually played the Dark Speed X. I really enjoyed it. Wouldn't say it blew my socks off for distance, don't get me wrong, it was very competitive with the other sort of core brands, but definitely wasn't the longest one out there. But I found fairway after fairway after fairway, and part of me this year maybe regrets jumping to the new QI35. Maybe I should have kept that in the bag, because as always with all these videos, I've proven many times, if you're average golfer, you're not going to notice the difference between a brand new club and one a couple of years old, especially one from the previous year. But I still really wanted to give this a go to see maybe if I should have played this year, and perhaps even should I be playing this next year and just forget about getting a brand new model, even though the new QI4D, I think it is, looks so good. Rory McIlroy had that out the other day. But anyway, performance wise might not work for me, so you never know. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to pick this up to do a review and also comment as well. This is about to be replaced. Cobra has actually just put, let's start those words again. Cobra has actually just put the new driver on the USPGA, I think it is USPGA conforming list, so there's lots of photos of it out there at the moment. So we already know this is going to replace pretty shortly, and therefore the price of it brand new, let alone secondhand, is plummeting. So this could be a great time to go out and get yourself tested on this and then potentially have it in the bag next year, because as I always say, you're not going to necessarily get any better performance with the newer model. Prime example this year with the QI35, even though I've enjoyed using it, Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler have stuck with the QI10. And that says something, doesn't it? If two of the best players in the world aren't upgrading their driver to the newer model. They realise they don't need to. But anyway, there you go. And they even contracted to as well. So I don't know how the hell they can manage to persuade TaylorMade not to do that. Anyway, now here we go. As always with all these reviews, what we're going to do is we're going to have a closer look at this club, come back here, go through all the technologies in it, going to get down to the range, throw some figures to you, and then come back here for the ACS Golf Scale. All right, so without further ado, let's have a closer look at this club in the daylight and not in the night that I'm currently in. All right, let's have a closer look at it. So there you go, and it's a good looking thing. When it first came out, the DS Adapt range, I wasn't blown away by the looks of it, very much so with, like I say, the TaylorMade QI35, which I actually gamed last year. There it is. Really enjoyed that club. However, it's not actually my bag at the moment. Over winter at the moment, I'm actually playing a Black Ops Tour driver, which is awesome. Review for that isn't out yet, but it will be out soon. So do remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. And do remember as well, now PXG have just released their Lightning version. So the new driver, so the Black Ops version, will be cheaper. So check that out on PXG's website. I'm sure there'll be lots of sales if you're looking for that driver this year. But anyway, back to this. So yeah, really appreciate the look of it. Definitely grown on me throughout the year as it's gone on. Now let's get into the technology that is in this club. So dial in your game. Unlock your best golf with Cobra's fastest and most fittable family of drivers. Adaptive weighting in the X model delivers a perfect blend of speed and forgiveness, with the Future Fit 33 offering 33 unique lofts and lie settings to allow you to find your ideal ball flight minimize your miss, maximize your distance, and dial in your game with a DS Adapt. And that's the whole thing about Cobra this year, was with their 33 unique fitting. So if we go into really in-depth look into technology, as I mentioned, Future Fit 33 features 33 unique loft and lie settings to optimize your ball flight, minimize your miss, as I've mentioned already, and maximize your distance. Loft and lie can be adjusted by 2 degrees up and 2 degrees down. So this is a 10.5 degree head. I could have lofted up all the way up to 12.5, and I could have lofted it down to 8.5. The great thing about it as well, I could do that without changing the lie, which I think is really good, because some drivers still, if you change that loft, you actually change the lie of the club, so it performs a little bit different. Unlike your Titleist's and your Callaway, where I think they do stay neutral. So basically allowing for the ultimate fine-tuned fitting and customizations, while the innovative smart pad design enables the face angle to remain square regardless of the setting. There you go. Advanced, and I will say about the Sure and the Future Fit. Future Fit? I want to say Sure Fit. Yeah, Future Fit. I always want to say Sure Fit for some reason. When I first tested Cobra, I thought this is insane. There's too many options here. This is going to be confusing for average golfer. The more I've played with Cobra this year, the more I've tested it for the channel, I actually really like it. I really like it. I think it's a great thing. I was watching a video the other day actually of a fitter, and he was basically saying like, look, yes, there's a lot of option there. Yes, it can get quite complicated. And yes, the worst thing to do if you're an amateur golfer is go and fiddle with it week in, week out, because it could make things 10 times worse. However, it's a great thing for a fitter, because if a person can fit you in the club, especially if you just started golf, you can go out, play. If your swing changes, which obviously a lot of people will do as they progress in this game, you can then go back to the fitter and say, all right, look, can we refit me for this? And they can do it. You won't have to spend a fortune buying a new driver. They can fit it and change the golf club to then match your new swing, which I think is a really cool thing. And they can do that because of those 33 options. Moving forward now onto the technology. Advanced aerodynamic design. So the DS Adapt X driver features a streamlined perimeter face area, high crown peak, and less raised aft, with a new lowered heel area. This driver was shaped to create speed in a more traditional club shape. So there you go. And a more traditional club head shape, which I really like the feature of, not massively long elongated at the back, as I mentioned, but you can see all the aerodynamics on there. And that's one thing that Cobra have been really doing over the years, because you can't change the face anymore, really. It's, you know, it's always been thin enough now over the years. You know, you can't change the size. You know, drivers really from, say, 2016 have been really at the max. You know, you can look back in 2016 and look sort of a Great Big Bertha Epics, a bit like, there's not a huge difference between them and a brand new one. You know, go for your tailor-made M2s. You know, Cobra a bit later, I'd say the F9s, but, you know, there's all these points where actually there's not a huge amount of difference. So there you go. And that's what Cobra have been trying to do is, all right, we can't change this, but if we change the aerodynamics, you're going to therefore swing faster, and therefore you're going to hit it further. So you're going to think, oh, this thing is the furthest driver I've ever hit, when actually it's just because you're swinging faster because of those aerodynamics, which isn't the end of the world. It's quite a good thing. You know, if that helps, it helps. Larger hot face insert, so a larger forward face insert with hot face technology delivers improved face flex for more robust distance and ball speed on and around the center of the face. Again, all they're sort of doing is definitely trying to improve forgiveness. They can't increase the ball speed. You know, smash factor, you're not supposed to be able to get over smash factor 1.5. A few drivers over the years have been testing, they've actually been banned or not been able to be produced because they've had a too high a smash factor. So there you go. Blend of forgiveness and spin control. So you have two changeable weights here. So a back weight is accompanied by a second forward weight, allowing for additional launch and spin tuning control. So you got 10 gram and a 3 gram. 10 gram at the back, high launch, high MOI. 10 gram at the front, it's going to be lower launch and lower MOI, because obviously that weight's at the front, so it's going to be a little bit less forgiving, but you're going to get lower spin, while if it's at the back, you're going to get higher spin. So there you go. You can dial it in. Again, you know, if you get fitted for it, you've got to weigh at the back, you become a better player, hitting more in the middle, and suddenly you're ballooning up in the air because your swings also speeds increase. Not only can you de-loft it to get that spin down, but also now you can put that weight in the front to help decrease the spin as well. So been around now for a couple of years with Cobra, so really good feature. They did get rid of it in the Cobra with the LTDX and the Aerojet, unless it was the low spin model where you did have options to change it. So yeah, no, very, very good. And now you have a new adaptive weighting system. So the DX Adapt X and the DS Adapt X 10.5, so they've actually changed the way these drivers are. So a re-engineered power bridge, so this is the 9-degree head, by the way, re-engineered power bridge weight in the 9-degree driver's position forward and low for max ball speed and reduced spin for increased speed creation. The idea, if you've got a 9-degree head, you've got your launch right, you know, you don't need that ball, getting that ball up in the air, so therefore you're going to have more weight at the front to help keep that spin down because you're launching it high already and get further distance. While the DS Adapt X 10.5, which is the one I've got here, the 10.5 driver features no forward bridge, so you don't have that weight there, and it repositions the weight in the back for increased launch spin stability. So this model, the 10.5, is more forgiving than the 9-degree head. So really, if you look at Cobra, it's a really weird thing to say, but you've actually got different drivers in the class. So not only do you have your LS, your X, etc., but you've actually sort of got an X.1 and an X.2. So it's really important to make sure you pick up the right one. For me, with faster swing speed at the moment, yes, I've got 10.5. I probably should have got the, you know, that 9-degree one with the weight in the front. However, I can put the weight in the front, so you can counteract it a little bit yourself, you know, and also by keeping that more weight at the back of 10.5, it does increase the forgiveness, which is always helpful. Just saying for the model, what they say for the X, you know, they say it's low spin, forgiveness is high, and launch is medium, and you can only get it in 9 and 10.5 degrees, which is fine because, as I said, you can loft it all the way up. So really, you know, if you want to get the 9-degree head, but you're like, well, hold on, so I want that forward weight, but I still need a little bit of help with launch, you can loft it all the way up to 11, which I think is really, really good. So there you go. So lots and lots and lots of technology in there, and lots of little differences as well throughout even the X range, let alone this model compared to other models as well. All right, now without further ado, let's get down to range. I'm going to throw some figures at you and then come back here for the ACS Golf scale. All right, see you in a bit. Here I am down at the range with the Cobra DS Adapt on a very chilly but beautiful winter's day. Actually, you can't see here, but it's actually heaters at this driving range, which is fantastic. Keeps you nice, toasty and warm. But anyway, let's get into those figures. So on average, at a carry 242 yards, total distance 267 yards, ball speed 158 miles per hour, launch angle 12 and height 99 feet. Really happy with those numbers. Obviously, in winter, the ball's not going to go as far, so to still get close to that 270 mark is really good. Longest was 251 yards, total distance 281 yards, and the ball speed of 160 miles per hour, while the shortest was only 256 total yards and a ball speed of 155, but that was a very high spinny shot. But the thing to take away from this club is the consistency, and you can see with those sort of lines there, this was finding fairway after fairway after fairway after fairway, and that's exactly what I found with the Dark Speed X, which I played throughout last year. So really, really pleased that they brought that still into this new model. You know, it is so consistent for me anyway of finding those fairways, even if you're not hitting in the middle of the face. You know, with my swing not being the greatest in the world, as we all know, you know, I do miss the middle every now and again. So to be able to have that consistency still is fantastic. Feel wise as well, feels absolutely great. Really do enjoy the Cobra feels, and I know where my miss hits are as well. Launch, you can go high, low, etc. It does have that workability, and definitely moving that weight to the front does lower that sort of flight down. So here's those numbers in the figures there. I'm in a table for you here, sorry. As you can see, that shortage, you know, just a little bit high off the face and a little bit high spinny, but still really impressive numbers, you know, and exactly what I'd expect from a core driver like this. Don't get me wrong, if it's an LS version, I definitely would have expected a little bit more, but from a core version to that middle marker, yes, this thing is done really well. So not bad figures at all, and as to be expected, to be fair, this is exactly spot on where I would want this sort of core driver, which is sort of is, you know, it's middle of the range, not the lowest of spinning, not the biggest monster, and also not the most maximum forgiveness. You know, exactly where I want those numbers. You know, yes, if you're watching a review from my summer, you'd probably find that the ball's going a little bit further because it was warmer on those days, and therefore the ball naturally travels further. Obviously, when I tested this, it's winter, it's freezing cold. Not only is my swing speed down a little bit, not too bad to be fair, but obviously the ball just isn't going to go as fast. So I'm still getting really good ball speed, but not necessarily a distance that I would expect. And there's a few shots I hit and I was like, oh, that would be, you know, getting close to 292, you know, 300 is a little bit shorter than that. I was like, oh, definitely that thing. I hate winter golf, to be honest. I won't play throughout the winter. I do over here in the UK, even though it's wet, horrible, miserable. I've been rained on the past 2 weekends. I've gone out, been really bad. But the one thing is it's so annoying, rain, bit of cold I can deal with, it's the fact the ball doesn't go as far. And then suddenly you're going, this would be a 7-iron summer, it might be in a 6-iron here now. It's just, that does frustrate me a little bit, I have to admit. But anyway, still really good numbers. So as I mentioned, 242 yards carry, really happy with that. 267 yards total distance. Again, exactly what I'd expect this club to be for this time of the year. Ball speed 158 miles per hour. Again, perfect, you know, from my swing speed, like I said, down to probably a little bit. Launch angle 12, really good launch angle, and height 99 feet. So maybe spinning a little bit high there. Because I did test the majority of this with the weight at the back. And I'll tell you what happens when I did change that weight forward. Longest on the day, 251 yards carry, 281 yards total distance, 160 miles per hour, launch angle 11, height 81 feet. A little bit less spinny there, and I definitely got some good distance out there. Shortest, 242 yards carry, literally still spot on the average for carry there. 256 yards total distance, 155 miles per hour, ball speed, launch angle 14, height 116 feet. So definitely a high spin one there that definitely just kept it going, you know, great. And to be honest, for winter is probably the best thing. You know, you want maximum carrying winter, you're not going to get a roll out here in the UK, but definitely did suffer total distance because of it. However, the thing I will say about this, which is very much like my Cobra Dark Speed X, it is a fairway finder. You know, it was just constant. I just felt I could just literally close my eyes, hit this club, and I could hit fairway, which I think is really, really good. I'm really, really pleased with it. I mean, obviously, I had the right shaft in it. You know, I got 10 side blue AV series. I do like these shafts. 65? What was it, 55? No, 65 is the heavier one, and stiff flex. I do like that. Can't swing massively quick with it, because if I do that, then it's just going to go all over the place, because, you know, nowadays I'm closer to extra stiff rather than stiff. But yeah, so let's get into the ACS Golf scale now. So remember, we've got 5 categories. We've got distance, feel, looks, price, and forgiveness. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Now, for distance for me, I'd expect these core drives to be around a 4 or a 3.5. Really, I want them in the 4. I'm giving this a 4, spot on. Do I think it's the longest out of all the core drivers? I don't know. I really don't, but consistency wise and getting myself on the fairway, I think it's fantastic. And the distance is very, very competitive still, believe me. Really happy with that. And I know if I wanted to probably increase the spin, I maybe could have lofted it down, to 9 degrees. Could have got the 9-degree head to get even more distance as well there. So yeah, really happy with that. So yeah, 4 out of 5, definitely in the same category as my QI35, etc. Even though I think my QI35 is definitely a little bit longer, and that is the core model, by the way. But for example, you know, took this out, tested on a day, hit my Tour black speed, not black speed, black ops, you know, which is the Tour version, which is their low spin model, and of course that was going an extra few yards longer than this, as I'd expect, because that's a low spin one. And also took out a maximum forgiveness driver, which was definitely shorter than this as well, so it's definitely where it should be in that position. So I'm really pleased for that. Moving on to feel 4.5 out of 5. Really happy with it. For me, the best woods out there feel wise are Cobra, Titleist, and Mizuno. I love the feel of these clubs, and this didn't disappoint at all. So 4.5, maybe could go to a 5, to be honest. The only reason I'm saying 4.5, if you do move that weight a little bit more forward, which I did near the end, it does make it a little bit firmer. But overall, really happy with it. Could definitely tell when my misses were as well. So yeah, a 4.5. Looks 4.5 as well. Beautiful looking thing. Really enjoyed it, but I probably preferred the dark speed, to be honest, where it's just infinity the whole way around. You know, seeing that sort of, to be honest, I think I'm being really picky here, but 4.5, we'll leave it like that. Really good looking driver, and great head cover for the dark speed as well, in great shape, so pleased with that. Moving on to forgiveness again for this type of category, you know, modern day drivers, I'd expect it again to be a 4 out of 5, and this is exactly that. Don't get me wrong, I think if you've got the 9-degree head and you had the heavy weight at the front, then maybe 3.5, because you've got more weight at the front there, so do be aware of that. This one, 10.5 with all the weight at the back, and if you put the back weight there, it's definitely a 4. Moving it closer, that 10 closer, then it probably does drop maybe just below a 4, but not the end of the world. You know, really happy with it. As I mentioned, you know, average is 267, longest 281, you know, not that far off the average, and shortest 256, again, not that far off the average. Dispersion was pretty good for me, and also It's basically the fact I test the whole face with my dodgy swing. And also, you know, like I said, fairway after fairway after fairway, really, really pleased with results. So yeah, 4 out of 5, exactly where I'd expect it to be compared to other drivers, you know, same as the QI35. So really pleased with that. Obviously, if you want maximum forgiveness, you want a 10K, then go for the max 10K version. So there you go. Now on to, before we get on to price, so just mentioning, as I mentioned, you know, I did swap the weights around and I definitely did see a little bit increase in ball speed having that at the front, and it definitely did start coming out a little bit lower, and it definitely started to reduce the spin a little bit. So that movable weight there does work, and you can really dial in your game if you wanted to. I mean, for me, if I really wanted to test this and maybe potentially put it in the bag, I would deal off this down to probably 9, or maybe probably 9, and then leave that weight maybe at the front there. You know, you can maybe get like a 10-degree launch, but then it'll probably still maybe spin up a little bit, but it won't be that bad. But I'd never do that in winter because you need maximum carry in winter. So there you go. But anyway, yeah, plenty of options there. So moving that weight around definitely did affect that ball flight. I did notice it. So I'm really pleased with that as well. As to be fair, you do with a lot of these drivers. You do change the weight around. So my QI35, that's got interchangeable weight, so you do notice it. Now on to price. So this is still a brand new club technically, so I'm not really looking at the second-hand market, even though, you know, they are starting to really appear on there. You know, I'm really looking at what it would be if you go in store and get yourself fitted. Now, obviously, the QI35 has dropped now. The Elite has dropped now because we're getting into next year. So all the other brands have. Dynapower, I think, has dropped even though it's a 2-year cycle. Black Ops will be dropping now, even though it's a 2-year cycle because they're replacing it. The Mizuno's supposed to be coming out soon. I mean, I feel like them drivers have been around for years now and not been changed. I mean, they're cheap, really cheap. Go and check them out. Obviously, your Titleist GT range, don't think it's due to be replaced soon, so they're still pricey. And also your Ping, obviously G4 400s are going to be pricey as well. G4 440s are going to be pricey still as well because they're on a 2-year cycle. I think their 10K version, their max 10K low spin bomber, is coming out as well next year as well. So that will be quite expensive, I'm guessing. So yeah, but looking at the price, Cobra's always been a little bit cheaper than the other brands. So brand new, this was £469 in the UK, £549 in the US. It's now dropped. It's now £375 in the UK. That might not even be the cheapest I can find it. And $429 in the US. I've actually had someone comment about the other Cobra that I recently reviewed, and they actually found it for $399. So I think you can even get it cheaper than that $429 if you shop around over in the US. So the price of this really is dropping. I'm still giving it a 3 because, like I said, the TaylorMade have dropped, then everything else has dropped. But compared to them, it is a little bit cheaper. So rather than the 2.5, which is very much, it is what it is. This is the price, is exactly what it is. Exactly what you'd expect. I'm giving it 3 because it is that little bit cheaper, and it's definitely worth going to get yourself fitted for if you're looking for a new driver over the winter period, because in the summer you could go and get yourself refitted for it again and you basically got a brand new driver in the bag again, even though you've been using it for 6 months. It's a really cool feature with that sure fit. So there you go. All right, guys, so there's my full in-depth and very long review about the Cobra DS Adapt X driver. You always know if it's a long video with me that I've actually really enjoyed hitting this club, which I have. I think it's got some really competitive distance, not the longest I've mentioned, but it's an absolute fairway finder with tons of adjustability that is coming in at a really good price at the moment. And I maybe do feel maybe I should have played it this year, you know. I got some really big drives out with the QI35, but I definitely have not hit as many fairways as I would hope to have hit this year compared to the dark speed last year. So maybe I should have played this and just kept on hitting fairways. Something to think about for next year, definitely. But overall, fantastic driver. Now, do comment down below, you know, if you played the DS Adapt this year, are you going to stick with it next year, or are you going to go and try and get their new model? I've seen the photos of the new model. I actually think this looks better. Put my hands up there. I think it went dark speed for me look wise, and then this. I think the new model is even more this. It sort of looks a bit weird, looks lopsided on the bottom. You never know, it might come out and I might think actually this thing looks great, so we'll wait and see. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you're thinking about upgrading or if you're going to play this for the foreseeable future. Also, as mentioned, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe to the channel as I did mention before, so you do not miss out on reviews like the PXG Black Ops Tour that will be coming out soon. And we've actually got some new clubs as well. I've got the new utility wood from Callaway to review, and I do have the, I think it's in there somewhere, the new Cobra sort of utility wood tech hybrid to review as well. So we've got some good stuff coming up that you don't want to miss out on. All right, guys, I'll catch you soon for the next ACS Golf video. See you then. Bye-bye.